The following teacher development program is brought to you by the MultiChoice Africa Foundation.
And so, my esteemed colleagues, it becomes obvious why math literacy is of vital importance. Critical importance. Dear colleagues, it's clear that math literacy will help learners to become self-managing persons, contributing workers, and participating citizens.
What nonsense is that?
I'm trying to educate my new colleagues about what's happening with the new subject, mathematical literacy.
Self-managing, contributing, participating. It's just department talk.
And who are you? What makes you the expert?
Lebogang and Thandi, new PE teacher. And I guarantee you, no one uses math outside the classroom. Unless you're an accountant, bookkeeper, or a NED.
Thandi Mkhize, new math teacher. And I guarantee you're wrong. Math is extremely relevant to everyday life. And it's nerds like you who don't realize it.
Prove it to me, Miss Know-it-all.
No, you first. List 5 jobs in which you think maths is unnecessary.
Fine. Marketer, someone in advertising.
And?
Air hostess. Politician. Gym instructor. How about a cook?
Now I'll prove you wrong. Let's start with the marketing person. They'll tell you that they use graphs all the time in order to make comparisons. For example, when they need to compare sales figures over a certain period of time, or their ad spend, or the impact of an ad campaign. The air hostess will tell you that he or she needs maths to calculate the different time zones they encounter while flying all over the world. It's also very useful for converting rands into the various currencies they encounter. Political analysts would be totally lost without maths. For example, they do sums all the time to see how many seats a party should get in Parliament. And as far as the gym instructor goes, speak to one and discover how much math they use every day. They calculate their client's body mass index, and graphs are essential to them in order to interpret body mass index. And finally, the cook or caterer. Without maths, they wouldn't know how to cost their recipes or how to work out the ratios of different ingredients. Never mind adapting a recipe for 4 people to a meal for the masses. Well, is that proof enough for you?
Geez, I never thought of it like that. To me, math was this abstract thing. I remember in school, I always asked my teacher, "Meneer, why are we learning this?"
And his answer was?
That's the problem. Son, I was got about the question, just stupid him. And he never explained it. And we just learn this formula and that theorem and not how to apply it in our lives.
Well, you know,
Lebogang. Yes.
Yeah. Math literacy will change all that. I mean, learners now will understand why they learn certain things and how they'll be able to apply maths in their lives. As learners, as adults, as workers, and as citizens. Hey, hi.
You what?
Oh, no, thanks.
How will math literacy work in schools? Will it replace maths as we know it?
No. But there's some important changes coming. I mean, at the moment, it's compulsory for a learner to do math up until grade 9, then from grade 10 to 12, you can drop it.
Oh yeah, my little sister did that.
Well, in future, if a learner doesn't choose math for those last 3 years, he or she will have to do math literacy.
The new mathematical literacy curriculum has been carefully researched and documented, making it simpler for teachers to understand exactly what needs to be taught in the subject.
From this booking, and we nearly got 30% from the national part.
There any one of you who can guess, who can tell me how long enough did the dinosaurs...
Maths literacy has been divided into 4 main learning outcomes. These are numbers and operations in context, functional relationships, space, shape and measurement, and data handling. Numbers and operations in context is the first learning outcome, LO1. This learning outcome deals with basic number manipulation and includes budgeting and financial calculations.
Takes a look at LO1, which deals with numbers, that those numbers are going to be dealt with in context, and that it is the context that is paramount in the way in which the numbers are dealt with. So it's not numbers for numbers' sake, for the algorithms, but it's a knowledge of how to work mathematically with numbers, say in finance, so that one can deal with the contexts that one faces in daily life.
In this lesson, learners are budgeting to buy a car. They have to do a series of calculations to calculate the costs of various cars. The teacher demonstrates how the fixed costs are calculated. The answer is in cents per year, but this figure needs to be converted into rands per month.
12,120,000.
How can I make it a monthly amount?
Divided by 12.
I'll take that amount and divide it by 12.
It's 1,010,000.
LO2, the second learning outcome, is functional relationships. A mathematical function describes the relationship between dependent and independent variables. In maths literacy, learners learn how to describe events as mathematical functions. In this lesson, learners describe the profit a taxi owner would make as a mathematical function.
Our profit function is N passengers times 20 Rand minus 120 Rand, which is the profit.
Okay, that's good. And what will your profit be if you have 10 passengers?
So our profit would be 80 Rand, sir.
Once you've described a mathematical function as a variable, it is often useful to plot it on a graph to track the changes. Space, shape and measurement is the third learning outcome, LO3. Learners need to be able to measure objects in different ways and use this information to describe various 2- and 3-dimensional objects. In this lesson, the class learn about symmetry by looking at different shapes.
6 orders of rotational symmetry. We have 6 orders of rotational symmetry.
In this lesson, learners solve a problem using the theorem of Pythagoras. They have to calculate how far apart the poles should be planted if they build a structure with a slanted roof.
The difference using the theorem of Pythagoras, we can therefore calculate the third side. If you have a look, this is how our roof will look. We've got 2 sides. Our Y value is 10 centimeters and our R value is 30 centimeters. We can calculate our X value.
The fourth learning outcome, LO4, deals with data handling. Learners are taught how to collect and interpret data. They conduct their own surveys, look at graphs, and learn about basic statistics. In this lesson, learners conduct a survey where they analyze the consumption of cool drinks in cans in each of their homes.
So now you'll have now to write 1 year, 2 year, 3, up to 13. Anyone actually who comes from a family where they consume more than 13 cans?
On day 3, my family drank 15 cans.
On Monday, my family drank 14 cans.
Statistics can be used to manipulate people's opinions, and learners need to be aware of this. In this lesson, they investigate how graphs can be deceiving.
20%.
Girls, in reality, the percentages over here are only 60 and 63.
There is a focus on statistics. Statistics in context in the media will be where the mathematical literacy side of things focuses. And so often one can be duped by, as I've mentioned, politicians with skewed statistics and the way in which they are presented. Hopefully, developing a critical awareness of these possibilities will show the relevance of that learning outcome.
Teachers will teach a curriculum where all 4 of these learning outcomes are integrated into specific contexts so that learners develop skills to apply their knowledge across a range of contexts.
25.
Okay, I'll see you later.
This lady loves her maths. It's gonna be one long year with her around. Still here? Trying to impress the principal?
That's hardly necessary. He's already threatened by me.
Oh, we're aiming high, aren't we?
Of course. And so should you.
No. My life is fine, thank you. Could do with some more money, though. And a new car, and a new sound system. Could lose a few kilograms, maybe.
Why isn't he asking more questions on math literacy? I'll just tell him anyway. You know, math literacy focuses on many areas like health, wealth, budgeting, business, personal enrichment, almost everything.
South Africans have come from a past where the poor levels of education mean that most adults were not fully literate or numerate. It was Hendrik Verwoerd, the architect of apartheid, who said, as laborers, what reason could the Bantu have to learn mathematics?
South Africa comes from a past in which the poor quality and lack of education, particularly for the poor, resulted in very low levels of literacy and numeracy in our adult population. If you look at international studies on literacy, numeracy, you find that we fare very poorly in comparison not only with the developed world, but also in comparison with the developing world.
There were approximately 50 countries that were assessed in the TIM study, and South Africa has come out last consecutively in both cases. And the study is structured in such a way that it's more not curriculum bound, but it's more application bound. So it's in terms of they get questions that they're supposed to apply themselves in a context. And I think the way that mathematics has often been taught in South Africa is what I would refer to as naked maths. It's where there's not really a context, it's just numbers, things like 5 plus 7. And so the children are learning this whole lot of methods and skills and rules, but they're not actually able to use them.
In the information age, mathematical literacy is becoming more and more important. The workplace expects ordinary people to know how to do basic calculations, read graphs, understand schedules, and interpret basic formulas. To keep up with the demands of this age, mathematical literacy will be introduced as part of the new further education and training curriculum and will be a subject in the fundamental category from grade 10 to grade 12. This means everyone who does not study mathematics will have to study mathematical literacy in these grades.
Maths literacy is a brand new subject that is going to be available for all grade 10 learners starting in 2006. It's a so-called fundamental subject, and it's going to be compulsory for every single learner who doesn't choose to do mathematics as a subject.
Mathematical literacy helps us in all facets of life so that we can be self-managing persons, contributing workers, as well as participating citizens. It is important to control your own personal life so that you do not have to have someone else making the decisions for you. Mathematical literacy provides the tools to manage personal accounts, health, business, and the household. A self-managing person must understand accounts and statement bills so that he or she can manage personal finances and know how to cut down on costs. In this class, the learners use maths literacy to calculate how much electricity and money different home appliances use.
Say for a month of May, you decide that you go away for a visit to your grannies, and your house is left with no occupants. So it means for that month there won't be any electricity usage. Am I right? Yes. Now, how much do you think you'll have to use then for the month? You'll have to pay to Eskom for the month.
60 Rand 99 cents.
A self-managing person can work with ratio and proportion in any recipe, whether mixing cement, diluting medicine, or adapting a recipe for 5 people to 20 people. In this maths literacy lesson, learners are adapting a recipe for a wedding.
Here we have our ratio, which is 5:2. And now we are going to multiply our ingredients by 5 divided by 2.
In any job, a worker who is numerate and can contribute to the workplace by understanding schedules, workplace budgets, and basic financial matters is a valued worker. In this lesson, learners are learning about payslips and calculating tax payable on salaries.
That answer is C, total earnings minus total deductions.
To be a contributing worker, you would need to understand currencies and time zones if you had a job where you were required to travel. That's what they're learning about in this lesson, as learners pretend to be travel agents working for different national soccer teams for the 2010 World Cup.
So like to this direction, we subtract, to that direction, we add.
A participating citizen engages with our political system and understands the importance of voting. In this lesson, learners are using pie graphs to analyze a voting simulation.
We believe that the elections have gone well. They were successful, free and fair as we believe.
It's time to tally the votes.
On the board, we don't write 1 or 2 or 3. We make a mark next to the party that got a vote. I mark the first mark, then they tell me again, you tell me again, there's another one, I make the second one again, and so forth until they become 4. As they are 4, you give me another one, we make a cross, now we know that they are 5.
Participating citizens also appreciate our art, culture, and heritage. Mathematical literacy can help you here too. With the introduction of mathematical literacy in the FET curriculum, we hope to create a new generation of learners who are self-managing persons, contributing workers, and participating citizens.
Yeah, Thandi, I don't mean to offend you, but you make it sound like math literacy can solve all my problems, and I just don't believe that.
Well, the year still has a long way to go. We'll see. You'll be coming to me for help all the time, I'm sure.
Never.
You want to bet? You'll be begging for it.
It depends. What do you mean with it?
Forget it. But just remember you heard it here first.